What's up peeps, and welcome to episode 2 of the homemade 3D printer enclosure here on GurneyzProjX. So in episode 1 we were doing quite well, getting all the panels cut to size and getting the holes cut for the glass. But when we went to go and do the rebates to glue the glass in, the router died on us and spat sparks everywhere. So best not to carry on with that. So let's fast forward a few weeks and I've got myself a new router, so let's crack on with the project. Okay, so you've joined me about 2 weeks after my router broke. I've been extremely busy and haven't had time to update since then, but I did have time to order a new router, so we'll have to have a little play with that in a minute. This is the original one. You can see where I first started on there, routing out before it broke. I have had time, however, to mark up the second panel, so that too has now been marked out for the area I need to route. I think we're well overdue now, so let's just crack on, get this routed out, and then we'll see where we're at after that. Tidying up from the router, and we have our two panels with the rebate in for the glass. It's a little bit untidy on the inside in particular there, but I'm not too worried because once the glass is in, I'm going to stick on a like a little mould strip, so it's got a nice tidy edge on the inside, so I'm not that worried about that. Next thing I've got to do is put on our aluminium strips. The idea of these is to just sort of take the weight and help it fit a bit better. So one on that one, and one on this one. And the idea is that they will sit on the floor of the enclosure and just keep it a nice satisfying fit. So I'm going to screw those on, and then we're going to give it a bit of a test fit and we'll see how it looks.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, so here we are. Got the aluminium angles in there. They just hold the weight of that and help it fit nicely on the base of the enclosure. In the corner there, as a post, I've just used some 35 by 35 batten. And to be honest, I've only got a couple of screws holding each thing on just to get it together and just check it, really. There's no point in putting all 4 screws in. But everything has been countersunk and ready to go, and then when the time is right, we're going to fill all these cracks and things in with wood filler, get it all nicely sanded down to get a nice finish on the black paint. Next thing to do is to paint everything inside silver. That includes those panels you can just about see over there. That's the top, and the other 2 sides, they all need to be painted silver on one side as well. I won't bother to record it because it will be boring. So you'll join me when all that is done.
Much later.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks, probably about 3 weeks actually, since we were working on the enclosure for the 3D printer. When I left you before, I said I had to spray the inside silver. That has now been done. I've also spent a little bit of time just off camera doing a few extra bits and pieces. So I've put a bead on the, we're going around the window here, just a bit half dowel glued on there, a bit of no nails. And that's just to tidy up that edge ready for the glass when I get around to installing it. So there you go, it's all nice and silver in there. I've also obviously done the roof as well, or whatever you want to call it, the top. That's all been painted up. It's just temporarily screwed on there while I improve it because it's actually a little bit bowed. So I need to screw some more bits of batten inside just to strengthen it up a bit. So that's what we're going to get on with today. And we'll straighten it up, and then we're going to give it a bit of a test fit with the printer and just see how we sit in there. So let's see what happens. Okay, so over the past few weeks, I've just been doing small things really. So I've just been putting these little magnets on there and there. That just holds the front on nice and secure. And I've also just ran a pen along the inside of the front there, just so we know where to run our bits of extra batten to straighten it out and strengthen it a bit more. And then what I'm going to do is when I take it for a test fit upstairs, I'm just going to see what the distance is from the top of the printer to this top on here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put like a beam across, so if any weight goes on top of the enclosure, it will just push down on top of the printer, so nothing will bend out of place, because obviously it's a little bit vulnerable because it's only held on 2 out of 4 sides. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's just crack on, get these extra battens screwed on. Okay, so we've screwed these new battens in, and that's helped make the top a lot more rigid and hold it a bit straighter. What I'm going to do is around these edges here where you see these gaps and things, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit more of this, maybe not the half dowel, but I've got some sort of 20mm edge trim stuff. So what I'll do is I'll stick that on this edge, and that should hopefully tidy up and hide all these little gaps. It's a bit hard to avoid gaps really when you're dealing with these sort of materials. They obviously they're so thin, they like to bend. It's not like working with real wood. So the problem I've got at the moment is, if I can get that off now, that comes off quite nicely. Obviously it still just needs something to hold it up a bit, still a little bit. So the plan is the top of my printer comes up fairly high, and I'm just going to try and put something underneath there so it can rest on top of it, and that should make that nice and rigid and get it as flat as we can. And we'll just tidy all this up, paint it all again, get it all nice and silver, and then we can worry about getting the rest sort of filled in, wood filler, sanded and painted.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Here we are with the test fit. Now it is quite big. I'm probably going to have to move it. I don't think it can live here forever because I can't access my drawer properly, and it's, to be honest, in my elbow space. As you can see, The printer fits in there okay. It's quite good. So the whole IKEA table upside down does work. There she is in there. Nice bit of room. So what I need to do, I need to put a batten along here. That's 45mm. I think I might use, I've got some old rubber mat in there that I might use just to try and dampen some of the vibrations, because it's just going to vibrate straight on there, I think, which might be a bit noisy. When this is actually propped up on the top of the printer, this should be able to come in and go out a bit easier. Yeah, so the idea of that is I can access my spool quite nicely and everything else. I'm going to put a light inside as well. It's going to run on the top there. And we're going to have to drill a hole in the back corner just to let the power cables in and out. Some funky switches. Got this green one. That's going to be for the light. And then the power one is going to be this red one. I'm probably going to 3D print a little box and put one above the other on the side there. So when it's all on, you'll just click the power on, click your light on if you need it, click it off, let it print overnight without running the lamp. So that's the plan. And if you want to see if that plan comes together and works, you have to tune in for episode 3, which should be coming out in a couple of weeks or so. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. I will leave a link at the end of the video so you can watch episode 1 and catch up if you're new to the channel. So that's all from me on this episode. I'll see you next time on GurneyzProjX.